Hello guys, my name is Karen Blessing, of course from KUTV Kenya Art and Culture Monday, and today I'm here with a master's student from the School of Fine Art and Design. We're here to check out her master's degree project, which is fascinating, by the way. Her name is Ayollo Zilper, and I am excited because she is already here. I want her to take us through the journey, you know, of what the last 2 years?
Yeah.
How about the last 2 years have been, because this is Matters Art, and you know, Art and Culture Monday is right in the name, is all about art and culture, and this one combines both of those things, so it's definitely a conversation we are looking forward to have. Hello, hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
You're well? How are you doing today?
Let's
good. Start from there.
I am well.
Yes.
Yes.
You're good?
Thank God.
You thank God.
Yeah.
How are you feeling at the end of this project? I know we have just begun, but how is your current feeling right now?
Hey, like a weight has gone off my shoulder.
Yeah. Okay, let's then start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So you decided to take up your master's degree, and of course there's a project involved. Let's start from you telling us how you landed there and what project you chose.
Okay, so my creative project was on collages, creating collages using patterns inspired by selected traditional Eastern African hairstyles. So the reason why I chose hairstyles was I had an encounter with a young boy who was wearing a certain hairstyle from the Tutsi community, the Rwandese, and this was in Tanzania. I had gone for a festival there, so that geared up this urge to learn more about hairstyles and how I can portray that, but using textiles. Yeah, because my specialization was in fabric design, which is textiles.
So you are a lover of art. Let's start from there, because come on, ulikuwa Tanzania for an art festival. You do love art all around.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I started creating art in class 3. I think that's about 9 years old. Yeah, so I have all that work up to now, framed somewhere. Yes, so it started at a young age.
So your love for art started at a young age. So let's start from there. For collages, fabrics, and hairstyles. You know, when I first read the topic of your project, I'm like, wait, how do hairstyles and fabrics, like how does that come together? But you've already told us the inspiration. I hope that you have given the boy his flowers because of inspiring this whole project.
The reason why I chose hairstyles was because hairstyles have been documented by sculptors, by painters, by traditionalists, and even archaeologists, but it has not been documented specifically on fabric design. Yes, so that's why I chose to use hairstyles and document them on textiles. Another reason was that most of the time fabric design is known for clothing, it's known for just curtains, interior design, basically, but it's not known to be used as an art form. So I wanted to portray fabric as an artwork as well, but using collages. What best can I use? What technique can I use in creating artwork in textiles? So that is by use of collages.
Wow, that was great. Like from the very beginning, the idea was brilliant, and I know you're about to take us through the execution. But let's start here. So you decided. So of course, the first stage was find out which hairstyles in East Africa. What do they look like? How were they made? And the process. So take me through that. So when you first started.
So my first objective was to identify these hairstyles and document them. So identification was done basically based on the method of preparation. The communities that still practice the traditional methods of hair preparation, so that's how they were chosen. So from Ethiopia, I had chosen 3 communities. That was the Hamir, the Karo, and the Karayu. And from Kenya, I also chose 3 communities that still practice the traditional method of hair preparation. That was the Samburu, Turkana, and Maasai. And from Rwanda, I chose the Tutsi, because they still practice their traditional hairstyles. So that is how I identify them, based on the method of hair preparation, the traditional method of hair preparation.
Yes. So these hairstyles cut across, like they did used to happen in the traditional times, but also in the present day they are still happening.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. What is an interesting thing that you found out, in your research and in your finding different hairstyles? Is there something that caught your eye? You were like, okay, I didn't know that, but now that's an interesting fact.
Yeah. So when I was selecting these hairstyles, I found a similarity across board on how they prepare or make the hairstyle. It's the reason is because they are nilots.
Yes.
Nilots, they have a similarity in the way they prepare the hairstyle, particularly the Turkana of Kenya and the Hamir of Ethiopia. If you see the hairstyles, the method and the method of preparation and decoration is the same. The only difference is the color that they put on the hair because of the geography of where they stay.
Okay. So despite them being from different countries, despite them being very different tribes, the fact that they are nilots, they have some similarities in their design.
In their design.
Okay, that is lovely. So tell us, for example, let's pick this Tutsi that we have been talking about, the Tutsi community of Rwanda, and just how they make their hair. Does it have any symbolic significance? Am I just a design?
For the Tutsi, this hairstyle is worn by both the male and the female, but they have different symbolic meanings. When women wear the hairstyle, it means that they are virgins and they are not unmarried, they are not married. But if men wear the hairstyle, it means that they are warriors or person of high status within the community. So for the same hairstyle, if you're a man or a woman, it says something different. So what happens if the woman gets married? If she gets married, then she gets rid of the hairstyle and she just wears an afro with an ornament made of animal horn. Wow, that is beautiful to know. So then you decided, so you did your research and you discovered that these are patterns that you could use in your collages on fabric. They were inspirations that I could use for my motif development and for production of patterns. So when you moved from the hairstyles and your research, what was the next step? From after I had identified and documented, the next step was on motif development. So let's see some of that. So we go to hand sketches. So in motif development, these are hand sketches, all done by hand. So motifs are basically single elements that are repeated severally to create a pattern. Like the hairstyle. True, because even in our modern hairstyles, it's a single pattern that is repeated over and over. It's a pattern, then creates a pattern. So that in fabric design, basically, a motif, my inspiration was the hairstyle. I pick different elements within the hairstyle and create different motifs. Okay, so that seems like quite a bit of work. How long did this take you? This took me about 3 weeks just to finish all the hand sketches. And then from this, after I have derived all the motifs that I need for the pattern development, this is transferred to the computer to create patterns. So that is the next step. From here we move to the computer generated patterns. Computer generated patterns. You move from your hand to the computer generated patterns. And from there you came up with these are still hand sketches. These are still hand sketches. And these are many. Can we just note that there are very many? So did you sort of have to pick each hairstyle, like create a pattern for each and every of them? No, because I was selecting purposely based on what I want to create at the end of it all. So I did not make patterns for each and every motif. I selected. You selected a few. Because if I were to do this, it's too much work. That would be a lot. Honestly, that would take way too much time. But do you feel like if you needed a different pattern than the one that you have, you can still go back to your work, derive a pattern, and use it on your fabric? Okay. That kind of provides some nice resource. You can always go back somewhere, pick a different pattern, and fabricate it originally, like from the hairstyle. All right, so we moved from hand sketches, printed them on the computer, and came up with transfer them to the computer and came up with patterns.
With patterns. Okay,
so
let's see. Let's see the patterns.
Some of the patterns are here. So these are some of the patterns that were generated from the motif development. So from the hand sketching, the motif is transferred to the computer.
Yes.
And then you come up with different types of pattern repeats.
Yes.
So pattern repeats are different methods of how you can place motifs to create different patterns.
Yes.
Yeah, for example, this one is called a block repeat because it's just placed like a block. You see the way blocks are placed?
Yes.
Like the chessboard.
Yes.
The boxes.
Yes.
So that's a block repeat.
And this one does look slightly like that one that you've mentioned, the chessboard.
Yeah.
So question, the first printing, the first printout that you did it have the colors? The colors is a next step.
So the first, when you are developing the patterns, there is no color yet. You're still working with different forms.
Yes.
So after you're done with the placement and everything, that's when you add color.
Yes.
Yeah, based on the hairstyle you've chosen. Yeah.
So does the color, is the color dependent on the color of the hairstyle?
Yes.
Yes.
So most of the colors are used for the patterns are derived from the hairstyles.
Exactly.
Yeah, the colors used on the hairstyles.
On the hairstyles, which are derived from the communities these people came from.
Yeah.
From the you said landscape. You mentioned something.
The terrain, the landscape.
Yes, the terrain of the land and what colors were available on there. I want you guys to really understand how unique this is, because this looks, upon a first look, you'd think it's a random pattern. You know, you'd think, okay, let's just put a few things on the computer, come up with something. But these are actually I would say in simple words, hairstyles on fabric. They're actually hairstyles on fabric, and there are a lot of them. You know, I didn't think like you would derive so many.
So I derived about 600 patterns.
Yes.
But I narrowed them down to 400.
Yes.
But ended up printing on fabric only about 12 pieces.
Yes.
Yeah. So based on the time duration, you need to narrow down your work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this can tell you that you cannot exhaust. Like there are way so many.
Too much. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can say I'm waiting to ask the question on how you are putting this out there now, apart from being a master's project. You're actually using it, but that question is going to come later.
Yeah.
So you put them on a computer, you incorporate the colors that were used on the hairstyles depending on the terrain of the land.
Yes.
What is the next step?
From here now, we go to the third objective, which was to create decorative fabrics. Now, doing the actual project. So before you do the actual project, you have to do experimentation.
Yes.
So now I was doing experimentation on texture. So how can I get texture? Using color, using heat, on different types of fabric.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was what is happening here. So I used two different types of dye that I used within fabric. There is vat dyes, which are hot water dyes.
Also vat dyes.
Vat dyes are hot water dyes.
Yes.
They're called vat dyes because what is used, the container, the vessel, is called a vat. Where we put the dye is called a vat. So that's why they called vat dyes.
Vat dyes
Came from.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we have reactive dyes. These are called water dyes. You can use them when they are cold, and they are less harmful compared to this, because these ones we use chemicals.
Yes.
These ones we only need salt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these ones are easier.
These are easier, and they create more vibrant colors.
Yes, as you can see.
Yeah.
Like you can see on this side, this is more vibrant than
compared to this
the
side.
hot dyes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then from here, there are different techniques within fabric design. We have batik, we have tie-dye, we have surface decoration techniques, we have embroidery, we have beadwork. Yeah, so all those had to be experimented on before you do the final piece.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So you experimented them on smaller pieces?
On smaller pieces.
Yes.
So all these are experiments on the different techniques done on fabric. Yeah, so I just talk about this was remember we are talking about texture.
Yes.
So I decided to introduce heat so that I could get texture.
So that you can get a different texture.
So there are different types of fabric. There is synthetic and natural.
Yes.
So synthetic, they have more like a plastic feel to them. So when you apply heat to them, they crunch.
Yes, they crisp and crunch. Okay.
Yeah, so they create different elaborate textures.
Yes.
But now when you have a natural fabric, it just burns.
Yes.
Like paper.
Okay.
So this is cotton.
Yes.
But
so
there's still texture.
Yes. So it gives a different texture, but it does not crease like that.
It does not crease like that.
Yes, like the other, like the synthetic one.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we are learning. We are learning a couple of things. So then, batik. What is the
batik,
strategy here? Yes.
So batik is basically a resist technique whereby you use wax, paraffin wax, the candle wax.
Yes.
And then there's also a bee wax. You get them from the bees.
Yes.
So you combine the two to you melt it. After melting it, dip your design. Or in this case, I used a sponge.
Yes.
I cut out the shape.
Yes,
on the sponge.
Yes.
Yes, and then I dipped it in the hot wax and then stamped it.
Yes, on the fabric.
On the fabric. So after stamping, then the next process is to put it in dye. When you put it in dye, the areas you had stamped will not receive dye.
The dye
so
also,
much.
That's why you said
resist technique. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that way you come up with something where parts of the fabric have absorbed the dye,
and
then a good number have resisted.
Yes.
Okay, so that is batik.
Yes.
So you then moved on from there. You have made your testing. You have seen what the different fabrics, how they react to heat, to cold dyes and hot dyes.
Yes.
What is the next step?
So the next step is production of the actual fabric that I'm going to use to create the collages.
Yes.
So now from the experimentation, I already discovered what I can use in the process. So then I come and apply it to the final fabric.
To the final fabric.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
go to the next row.
So the next step.
Guys, this is a long process. If you're thinking about taking a master's degree, especially in art, you need to be prepared. Honestly, you need to be prepared to do some work. So then you pick now your fabric that you're actually going to execute the specific collages on. What does this process involve?
You remember we had created patterns?
Yes.
And we have already experimented.
Yes.
So we are going to apply that to our final fabric. So the patterns that I had developed, then I used it on my final fabric. So these are some of the patterns applied on actual final fabric.
Yes.
And I used screen printing on this side. That side is block printing. So screen printing is basically where you use a silk mesh and a frame.
Let's pick one of these and see.
Yeah, so this is a silk mesh.
Yes.
It's light. It's like a texture of the curtain shears. Almost the same texture.
Yes, the light one.
Exactly. And then I used another resist liquid. It's called an emulsion, where I block the areas where I don't want the paint to pass through, and use the areas I want to.
Yes.
Yeah, so I transfer the old method of creating photographs. That's what I use to create this pattern. Yeah, so it's a whole process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you block the areas you don't want the paint to go through. Then you have your patterns with the that are allowed for the ink to go through, so that you pass over that specific design.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long does this take?
Depending on the size of fabric. For me, a 3 meters fabric only takes 2 days if I'm doing 2 colors.
Yes.
But if it's 1 color, it's just a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So where did you get the access to the printers and the computers to do this work?
This was handmade.
Yes.
This I did by hand.
Okay.
There's no computer here.
Yes.
So from now in the experimentation and the implementation part where I apply the techniques onto the final fabric, it's all done by hand.
By hand.
The only computer part was the development of
of the patterns after you drew them by hand.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, it's work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between this and the block? You said these ones are called
these are block
printed fabrics.
Yes.
What is the difference?
So screen, basically, you see,
yes,
you use a screen, but on the block, you use an actual block, but this is called a linoleum. It's made of rubber. It's made of rubber, and then this allows you to cut the shape you need to create your print or your pattern. Yes. So for this, it's basically the same way we use stamps, official stamps.
Yes.
You have your ink on the side and then you stamp on your fabric.
Yes.
It's just stamping. So that's why you call it block printing, because you need a block and you need the line.
You need the specific design.
Yes.
So wait, did you make that yourself?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Like I said, work.
So,
all right. So you made your block printed
these
fabrics?
two are block printed fabric.
Yes.
But apart from block printing fabric, there are other techniques in surface decoration, in fabric design. There's embroidery. This is machine embroidery done from one of my patterns. And then we also have beadwork.
Beadwork, yes.
Yeah, so on this side, there is beadwork as well. So all this is done by hand, putting every single bead by hand.
By hand?
Yes.
How long did that take?
This took me 3 days.
3 days?
Yes.
That is a lot of work, because those beads are the small ones.
Yeah.
Was this inspired? I have seen this up because I saw the hairstyles. A lot of communities seem to be having
beads.
Beadwork.
Yes.
Exactly. So there was no way to go through the entire project
without having something on beadwork.
Yes, without having something on beadwork.
Yeah.
So these inspirations are for this beadwork?
No. This beadwork is inspired by the patterns.
By the patterns.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is beadwork, the patterns of the hairstyles now presented in beads.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where we are at. Too much creativity going on in the room.
Yes.
But yeah, that was such a fantastic way of presenting the hairstyles and the patterns in a different format.
Yeah.
So then we go here.
So
objective
my last objective was now producing the collages. You remember we were using the hairstyles, the patterns, to create collages. Yes, but inspired by traditional Eastern African hairstyles. But now in my fourth objective I had a different inspiration, which was traditional head dresses worn by the communities that I had selected the hairstyles from.
Okay, yeah, because it's not just hairstyle, there are a lot of other ornaments on the hair, a lot of other things, decorative things for the hair as well.
So these are different headdresses worn by different communities. Like here we have the Maasai, the Samburu and the Turkana.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
So these are from those communities.
Yes.
And remember, everything is done by hand, hand drawn and hand sketched. Yeah.
Exactly. So you had to do all of that. So for an art student, pia lazima ulearn kuchora, because
you have to know how to draw.
Yes,
that's
you
the
can.
Basic.
Exactly. You have to know how to draw. Because yes, we are talking about the head dresses, but there needs to be a face where those head dresses are put on. So you need to know kuchora kiasi, ndio sasa you can be able to do your presentation right.
Exactly.
So this was the inspiration, and then now you moved to creating those headpieces.
I moved to creating the collages.
The collages.
Yeah, inspired by these headdresses. Yes.
Okay, the headdresses rather. So let's go see the collages.
So from here, these are more inspirations from different communities.
Yes.
The Tutsi are there, the Karo communities, and the Hamir as well.
Yes.
Are all here. So now for my first piece, I did a collage piece known as mixed method. So mixed methods is basically a combination of different techniques onto one piece. So for this piece, I used headdresses worn by the Maasai boys and Morans, Maasai Morans, to create this particular head collage piece.
Yes.
So I used different mixed methods. I used beadwork.
Yes.
I used what is it called? I used the fabric that I had printed.
Yes.
Is here. So those fabrics that I had created, I used them to create
the collages. For the headpieces.
Yes. Yeah. So before we go to this final piece, there's a process that we follow. You have to have different types of ideas, preliminary sketches. Before you go to your final piece. So from all these inspirations, you choose whatever you want to do, and then
put it together.
Yes.
Yes.
Before you create. So this has to be approved before you go to the
method.
final.
Because again, remember, this is academic.
Yes.
So you sort of cannot just do a whole project. Then now is when we are doing the testing. No, we are starting from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So every stage from the preliminary sketches have to be approved. Moving on to the final sketch.
Yeah.
Moving on to the now
final piece.
Exactly, the final piece.
Yeah.
How long did it take to put this one together?
2 days.
Yes.
This
Did
was
you
2 days.
get marks for putting everything? Like there is beadwork, there is fabric printed.
No, just for the whole idea process.
Yes.
Yes.
But I think it was a good idea. So
Thank you.
I think it was an amazing idea. Yes. Then we moved from there. What is our next step?
Our next step was more collage techniques.
Yes.
So for my project, I did about 10 collage techniques. There are about 20 types of collages, but I only chose 10. This was because only 10 could be done within fabric design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So all of the ones that could be done within fabric design, you did them?
I did them.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So for this piece, this is called assemblage. Assemblage is basically combining three-dimensional objects onto a piece. So this, you are supposed to see it all round.
Yes.
But because of space, we are not able to show it.
So you see it just the front bit.
Yeah, the front side. So basically, the front looks the same as the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in an execution, like if you were to put it somewhere, it would probably fit on a table so that you can see all around.
On a table or like a chandelier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you can see all around.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So this was from the Samburu, the Maasai, and the Tutsi communities that created that, the headdresses.
Yes.
Yeah, inspiration.
The inspiration from there. Then there is this.
Then we have this. This is froissage. Froissage is crumpling and creasing of your collage material.
Yes.
So I just crumpled and creased it to create this artwork. This was inspired from the Turkana and the Karo communities headdresses.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is froissage.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the hair, we moved from hairstyles, but then also headdresses, because the hair was not just worn empty.
Yeah.
They're not boring people out here. If anything, the East Africa communities are very rich in their tradition. So these processes were thought through. CO2 just lines za nyuma. No, you have different headpieces that go with every hairstyle. Then you moved from here. So that was a good bit, because we started from the hairstyles to the collages on the fabric, then now collages on the headpieces.
The patterns on the
patterns on the collages used on the headpieces.
Yeah.
This is layering. This looks nice.
Layering. This, I think most people know this because you see the ragged jeans.
Yes.
This is the technique they use for that, but it's called layering, building and removing layers of the collage piece. So I built, I put this layer and this layer, but I removed by cutting.
A bit, yes, of the layers.
Yeah,
that
by
is
cutting.
Basically, that is ragged jeans.
Ragged jeans.
So if you're wondering, it's not new.
It's not new.
It's been there since the beginning of time. So these are some of the patterns that you got to create, some of the collages, of the 10 collages you got to create. And then from there you moved on to?
We still have more collages this side. I have 2 of my favorites. I have decollage and I have fumage. So decollage is basically removing, creating and cutting or tearing away pieces of the original image. So in fabric, how can you remove pieces of the original image? So I chose to remove the color. So you see these white spots, these are the color. I removed the color and I asked myself, how can I remove this further? So I removed the background. I removed the background using tulle fabric, like a netting. The one they use for weddings.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I use.
Yes.
I removed the background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So it looks like it's floating, but it's not.
But it is actually not.
Yeah.
That is the very technique on most of the wedding dresses. The illusion that creates as though it is floating, like you have said. The other one is fumage.
Fumage, this is basically applying smoke on your collage material. So with this technique, I used a stencil. A stencil is basically a design you cut out, and then after cutting it out, I placed it on here. So and then I applied smoke. I applied smoke using a tin lamp, koroboi.
Yes.
Yeah. So the smoke, it and where you cut the design, and then after cutting, then you use a fixative to fix it in, so it does not come out.
So it seems like another fabric, but it is not.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that you guys are learning and picking a thing or two. Because this is fascinating. Like to think through the creative process that was used to achieve that. You better. Me masters nayo umepita. You know what is this one?
This one is called decalcolomane.
Yes.
Decalcolomane is basically placing paint in between your collage material, putting it together and opening it up. Yeah. So basically, I just put paint in between on one side, put it together and then opened it up.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's decalcolomane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, like had like the name, you know, just because that one looks like, what was the inspiration? Because this looks like a skeleton.
Still, it's a headdress. Yes. It's a combination of the Tutsi and the Samburu headdresses.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what inspired them to make that specific headdress, because...
But this was my worst piece. Yeah. Because I had to do it 4 times. Yes. Yeah. When it's a small piece, it's so easy. Just simply flip. But when it's big, you find some parts get ink where you don't want it to get ink.
Yes. Yeah. Because you want
you want it to be perfect.
Other.
Yeah.
Ooh, that had to take you some time.
To do it 4 times.
Yes.
Yeah, it was my worst.
Took you a while.
Yeah,
and then also the fact that there are many
simple
colors. So you don't want the green to get too much into the orange or to get...
Yeah,
that took you some time.
But this works best on synthetic fabric, because if you do it on cotton, it simply sips. It does not come out really vibrant. It
seeps through. No wonder the materials are synthetic. They do better.
The synthetic one does better.
Yes.
Yeah, even this. See?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It's actually pretty. All right. Yeah. So then after this, where did you go to?
I went to my...
Yeah, towards the end of the hall. This tells you we are winding up on the project that was...
This is a collage technique known as femage. It's simply using the old methods of fabric decoration. There's beadwork, quilting. Quilting is basically, you see the duvets, the way they have the lines, that's quilting. Yes. And then we have patchwork, patches together. Yes. Basically the old methods of fabric decoration.
So put together as well.
Okay,
man, that is a lot of work. You know, when you look at the beauty of it is in there, a lot of work that has been done on it. Among the pieces that we have seen, which one took you the longest? Okay, we have talked about the very previous one. Yeah, but which one took you, you know,
the longest was assemblage.
Yes, assemblage.
Because you have to assemble, to create things from scratch. Yes. And Macu, it's something that I've never done. Yes. It's something I'm learning to do. Exactly. So it took a longer process because I had to use a forex board. Forex board is simply the material we use to create models. Yes. Forex board, I had to use boning. Boning is the material you find on sometimes bras and also corsets. They had in between, that one. So assemblage was my longest piece. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay, we've gone through the journey. Wait, we have not talked about this one. This was my final piece. Yes. The final piece of the project. First, how are you feeling at this stage? At this stage, I was feeling so good. Yeah. I was feeling so good. You're feeling like the work is almost coming to an end. Yes. Yeah. So this was my final piece because my inspiration was on headdresses. I decided to to do an actual headdress.
Yes.
Yeah,
that is on an actual head.
Yeah, so
yes.
This is a bricolage. It means combining odds and ends. So combining odds and ends in this case is that most headdresses in the market, they use synthetic fabric.
Yes.
This is basically because of the washing and cleaning.
Yeah.
But I chose to use a natural fabric. I chose to use cotton.
Yeah.
And then I chose to use, the odd thing about it is that I used the inspiration behind this was from headdresses worn by men, and I chose to give it a feminine feel.
Yes.
Yeah, adding beadwork and
definitely does look
the ruches. Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are combining odds and ends, the material and the inspiration
and
behind
the inspiration.
it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, and that there was your final piece.
Yes.
When it was finally put together, how did you feel about that?
I was happy.
Yes.
Yeah, because I had never done anything like this, and to think I'd do something like this, then it's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then after this, all of your work, you did have the I would say lecturer, yes, come and just look, your supervisor rather, come and just look through your entire work.
Yes.
Was this the vision when you were starting masters? You know, the excitement of nataka kufanya masters. You know, has the work, you know, is this where you saw yourself, or is this better or not?
It's better than compared to what I had imagined it to be. I didn't think it was going to be a lot of work. Yeah. And then it has also made me grow in terms of my craft, in terms of my speed. Yes. The speed in which I work, it's faster. And then also, masters has also helped me in my day-to-day life in terms of, like, before I do something, I have to research about it. Yes. Because masters is basically about research. Exactly. So before I do anything, I have to research and find out, is this okay? How do I go about it before I make any step? Yeah, so it has been a growth
of great help. Yeah. So the other question that I was asking from the very beginning is, have you been able to translate this into everyday life, into the now commercialization of your work? Because this is a lot of skill that you have amassed. Can this go into the real world and actually, you know, give you work, give you some money?
Yes, it can. Actually, the collages, I found it brought a business idea into the fashion industry, translating these collages into wearable art. So like Femage, translating that into a wearable art. It's in the process, so maybe sooner or later you'll be able to see it in the market. Exactly. Yeah, but it's a project I'm working on translating this into something that someone can translate.
Yes, and look good in. Yes. And like we said, this is the future of fashion, so we are waiting for you. Umalize haraka and put this in the market, that, you know, we can see how these things will go on. I want you to talk to an art student that is looking to pursue masters. What would you tell them?
First of all, just count your social life out. That's the first thing. And then it needs dedication. Like masters in fine art is different from a master's maybe say in medicine or what. Because here you propose and you also do the actual project. Whatever you proposed, you have to do it as well.
You actualize.
You actualize it. So it needs dedication, patience, and just no time. You can't combine this with work. It's either your work or your master's.
Okay. So if you're planning to take a master's degree in fine art, that is what you're doing. You're picking that and you're picking that nicely. Are you planning on taking a PhD? You know, you've come all the way. Okay.
Yes, I am, but after a long break. Because this has really drained me. I will be honest about that. You need to breathe. Yes.
For a minute. So, and finally, how do you feel about your work generally? Now that you're on the other side of your masters, I know graduation is yet to happen. We'll give you all of your flowers.
Thank you.
But how are you feeling to be on the other side of your master's degree?
Hey, I'm proud of myself, first of all, because I didn't think I'd reach this level of intricacy and hard work and production. And professionalism. I feel good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
a big
much.
Congratulations. This is a huge step.
Thank
Like
you.
you said, you moved from concept into actualization.
Yeah.
So we do really congratulate you for the good work.
Thank you.
Have done here.
Thank you so much.
Sana, thank you for giving us your time, Zilper.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
an
having
honor,
me.
yes, and a pleasure. This is what we talk about when we say we tackle matters art. This is what we are talking about. Ideas in people's heads, research followed by a lot of research, and actualized into beautiful pieces like what Zilper is having. That, ladies and gentlemen, will wrap up our first master's project. All the best.
Thank
We
you.
are looking forward to your graduation.
Amen.
Ukituita tutafika.
Sawa.
Yeah, thank you. Guys, we have come to the end of our first interview, and a big congratulations, of course, to Zilper for the amazing work that she has been able to put together. So if you are a student of art, fine art to be specific, and you're looking to do your master's in fine art, I hope this one was an actual lesson or an actual inspiration to just help you get to it with all the energy and be ready to put in the time.